Welcome everybody to our meeting. I've got Bailey and Madeline here that's going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So would you join me? Perfect. Want to just start us off with the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Bailey's our fourth grader here. Just a great job. And Madeline is fifth grade. Thank you very much for being here. I'd like to welcome everybody to our meeting. Not used to being in such a big group and having to holler, but we'll get through it. I'd like to thank Mr. Finch. He took us on a tour earlier, and we went through the classrooms here in this facility, and it was good to both get to know Mr. Finch and Lynch. I'm going to get it right. But I'm going to probably massacre 2 more times. Sorry about that, Mr. Lynch. You know, I should remember that because I really like the 18. And like the Lynches are in the 18. So I'll get it right next time. Maybe. Again, just grateful for the opportunity that the board early in the year decided that having these meetings off-site in these buildings, it's been tremendous to get over and get in these buildings, and we need to do it a little more often when the kids are here so that we can see it actually in progress. But I appreciate your time. Let's just get started, Mr. Doolin, and go through the reports that we have.
All right, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Before I get started, I'd like to introduce our new IT director, Mr. Hennessy, Kevin Hennessy.
Thanks for being here.
So if I could, got a few things this evening. Let's start off with our car raffle numbers. It looks like we pulled in approximately $36,124, 424 supporters. Middle school got the most money, followed by Pioneer, followed by FFA, followed by Park, and then the band, that's the band. Just a reminder, we'll give it away next Friday night. I've got a meeting tomorrow, I think, with Drew and Casey or somebody up there, and Jake from State Farm, Jake from Hometown Motors, Smith Motors, in reference to how they would like to see Friday night work. We just purchased, thanks to Kyla, purchased a brand new rolling machine. So we use it for bingo later, but Friday night we use it for the drawing of the name. Hopefully they'll be in the stands. That'd be great. Come down and get your keys and just drive off the field. We've had 136 responses from the community about the school modernization facility funds. And as you know, it ends tomorrow. Enrollment as of today, 1,478 students with 95.4% ADA. We have a work day coming up this Friday. Some training going on with the intermediate and primary school. As you know, track demolition is underway. It's moving in the right direction. After you approve it tonight, I'll be sending our 10-year plan in to the state tomorrow. So to your questions, that's all I have this evening.
So the track's moving in the right direction, and that's down?
Yes, sir, they're digging down. They're digging. Yes, sir.
Does anybody have any questions?
Now, Mr. Brush, there's just no reports this time from our admin because so new in the year, they haven't even taken any tests yet to give us some new data. You'll see next month, or if you come prior to that, we have last year's data. I posted it on our board back there with the different schools. You can see what we did at the end of the year last year. But so to that, Casey, would you like to lead us off in anything that is going on with the high school thus far? Stand up.
So, yes, at this time at the high school, we like to introduce a couple of our new staff members. And we're going to go ahead and start with the ones that are, oh, they're all here, beautiful. Okay, so first off, I'd like to welcome Jade Wayne. She's our English 1, 2, and 4 counselor. That's Jade right there from Missouri. Next up is Jeff Nelson. He is our choir and theater teacher, comes from Caldwell. And last but not least, we have our college and career counselor, Nikki Erickson. All right, under other events at the high school, we do have homecoming going on this week. So if we look a little crazy and stressed out, that's probably why, but we'll talk more about that later. Needed to mention, talked about Smith Motors already and donating the car for the raffle. They also are supplying us with a driver's ed vehicle as well. They are allowing us to lease it on a 9-month basis for zero cost to us. The car just needs to get oil changes. We're responsible for that, and any other repairs through Smith Auto. So it's a 9-month lease, and then after that 9 months, we turn that car in, and they give us another one to lease for 9 months. So very gracious by Smith Motors on that. And yeah, let me double check my list here. I think that's it in terms of our report for now from the high school. Off and running.
Questions for Mr. Buck?
I just wondered how we feel about the driving kids in brand new cars.
That's Texas. It's a lease. Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah. Mr. Clark?
So at the middle school, we started off the year with 6 new employees, new to us employees. So Mr. Ben Parsons is our new vice principal. We have Betty Esterberg is in special education. We have Tristan Couts is our math teacher at the 7th grade level. Morgan Burke is teaching ag and language arts at the 8th grade level. And Colleen C. is teaching our 6th grade reading. We also get to share Mr. Nelson in choir, and so they are a great addition to the school. I've been able to get in and observe them, and the students are loving them. That they have good classroom presence, and they're doing a fantastic job. So we're very happy with all of our new hires. We are in the middle of doing our ISIP testing, so and the other change really that students are experiencing is that this year we have 3 lunch periods versus combining 7th and 8th, and that's really helped us get to know the students. The 7th graders kind of thought that might be a rite of passage for them to be in with the 8th graders, so that was a little disappointing at the beginning of the year for them, but it's been great. I really don't know how we would have combined them in the cafeteria as size-wise anyway. So it's helped us manage the behavior piece and get to know the students a lot better. So that's where we're at. Thanks.
Jeff Church, Indian Head Academy. We have had the fortune of having 100% retention of our staff from last year. So, I mean, new folks to introduce. We still have myself, Mr. Benzie, who's been here more than half a century, Michelle Ford, and Jason Davies. And we're rolling right along. We've got 19 students right now. Our big news item is tomorrow we're heading over to College of Western Idaho to the Micron Center to tour their CTE facility. So that's our big calendar item. No other homecoming week events for us. So that's about it for me. Any questions?
We have had about 4 to 4.5 new staff, and I count that half because of Colin. She's a district nurse, but he has an office at our building. Tristan Water, our 4th grade teacher. We also have a couple other 4th grade teachers, Amy Goodall and Casey Stromberg, and then Michelle Wheaton is our new librarian. What's happening at Park? We are finishing up dyslexia screening by the end of this week, and we too are finishing up our ISIP testing. Any questions for the board?
Thank you for the tour of the school.
You bet. It was fun.
Okay, we're off and running at Pioneer School. Things are going very well. I have one new to us staff member in 2nd grade, Emily McLeod, who taught at Park School for a number of years. And then we have Anthony Shaper, who is a shared music teacher with Park School and Pioneer School. And like I said, we've got the school year kicked off. Things are going very well. Got a lot of different things going on. We've been doing our dyslexia screenings and our ISIP testing and reading. And then we're also working right now on getting our ISIP testing done in math. So we'll have lots of data for the board to review next month. So do you guys have any questions for me? Oh, and the last thing, if you guys want to stop by on Thursday at lunchtime, Mr. Pfeiffer and I are going to be barbecuing hamburgers prior to the homecoming parade. So come down. We'd love to have you guys join us for lunch that day. Hopefully the weather holds. We want to have a picnic outside. We'll see. Any questions for me? All right. Thank you.
What time is your lunch? What time is your lunch?
If you get there at noon, we'll still be flipping burgers. Okay, we start with kindergartners right at about 11, go for about an hour and a half, so that'd be great.
So before I cut to the director, do you have anything for maintenance, transportation, food? Lawns?
So, I think we're in good shape. Everything looks good in the track. Before I get started, thanks to all the new staff that's already headed out, but I appreciate your time. You don't need to stay the rest of the time. Thank you. Okay. Appreciate it. I didn't see any community input.
No. Well, we do have
Well, yeah,
one person from the high school,
talk about.
Mr. Clark is going to
Yeah.
introduce.
Yeah, let's, she's the best, can't forget the best.
All right, so under the community input, obviously here to talk to you about homecoming activities and what we have taken place. We have our ASB president, who is Tatum Clary, and we also have our vice president, who is Matt Perez. So they're going to walk us through the events of the week, what we've already survived today, and what's coming at us in the next couple days. So. take a look.
Also, Jordan Stromberg is our secretary, but he had volleyball practice. He's gonna make it. So today, Coco will talk.
So I'll be going over what we did today for our assembly. So really what we did is students came in around before lunchtime, like 30 minutes before lunchtime. As a normal 4th hour assembly schedule is. They came in, we got them settled, seniors in their area, juniors in their area, same for sophomores and freshmen. And then, we just did a couple games. Those games were, we started off with musical chairs, right? Musical chairs, then we did Pop the Balloon, which is just a type of game that, it goes like in order. They pop it using their back, their stomachs. And then we ended it off with the fight song, right? Singing the fight song, to bring back a little bit of that school spirit. And I mean, yeah, it was I'd say it was a success, We got the students together for homecoming week and it was pretty fun.
Then tomorrow, our dress-up day theme is Drip or Drown. So drip is like big chains, hats, and then drown is swim gear, Hawaiian. Then, and then our game is human pyramid. So like you make goes 4, 3, 2, 1, while like on your hands and knees. And then body surfing using the table, and then like a pie. You have a pie, and then you try to get the whipped cream out without using your hands. And then we have hallway decorating going on and more powder puff practices.
And for Wednesday, our dress up day is USA themed, so red, white, and blue. And our games are gonna be, well, there's not gonna be a game that day. It'd be lip sync. So I think just the traditional high school lip sync. Where we have a theme, and each class sticks to their theme. For example, us seniors, we have fall as our theme. So we're gonna be having some audio from movies that have to do with fall, or some songs that have to do with fall. And yeah, hallway decorating is from 4 to 8 that day. And yeah.
Do you know what time the sleep starts?
During our assembly schedule, so around like 11:45.
11, yeah. No,
11:30, something like that.
I believe it's 11. Gosh, you got me on that one. Lunch ends at 12:52, so it's got to be. Do we even have it on the schedule?
No?
Sometime before lunch.
Before lunch. Yeah.
She could post that on the ASB Instagram page.
Okay.
11:52. Yes. And then Thursday is our most chaotic day. We'll go to class and for attendance. And then usually the past years we've been outside decorating our floats for like 3 hours. So it just seems very chaotic. Everybody's wandering around. So this year we decided to stay in the Ox gym for a little bit, or the main gym. And we're gonna have a dodgeball tournament with our grades to just keep us busy for a little bit. And then we go decorate our floats, and then we'll go for coronation, leave coronation to lunch, and then parade. Then after parade, we have our powder puff game. That's it for our homecoming.
And
Then
of course
Friday.
The big day.
Our game.
Big day.
And then after the game, we have a street dance just right next to the goalpost.
Exciting.
Are there any questions?
I'm sure it's rigged, but which class is gonna win?
The
Seniors.
Yeah, seniors.
We're ahead.
So you're obviously in black today.
Yeah,
Mhm.
totally.
Juniors in.
Today was color wheel. We were black, juniors white, sophomores blue, freshmen green.
Juniors are blue. Juniors are
Sophomores were white, juniors were blue. Yes.
I love that you're working on the fight song.
Mhm.
I agree that's happened a couple times now.
Yeah.
Like competitions between classes.
Yeah, it's so whoever sings it the best gets released early for lunch. So it's very motivated.
Thank you for doing that.
Yes, thank you.
Do we have,
Appreciate the report.
do we have some other home sports this week? Or homecoming? I know there's a soccer.
Yes,
There's
there
a soccer game. There's
is
this girls soccer game against Payette tomorrow, and boys soccer against Fruitland on Wednesday.
also on Tuesday. Tomorrow is volleyball versus Emmett. Yes.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks
Yeah,
for
you
your
guys-
work, and expect we'll call you back. Couple more times.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, thank you. WEA,
So, we have a new WEA.
come on up here.
So, it's, I got
You're
much
right.
in this show, so, like, they will help me totally be super helpful. My name's Ariel Canoyer. I'm a third grade teacher at Pioneer. This is only my second year in the WEA. And this is Sawyer, and this is Jasper, and we have another one on the way. Surprise for us. We just wanted to thank you. Oh, you can introduce yourself.
I'm Sherry Barnett. I'm a special education teacher at the high school. And Ariel and I are co-presidents.
Yeah. So we just, our former presidents were like, we've been doing this forever. You're up, guys. So we just wanted to thank you guys for keeping us on the agenda. Every start of the youth school year is like, let's go, let's go. And so we've been going. Pioneer's been good. The third grade has their Weiser history walk coming up. We're getting that nailed down. It's gonna look a little different this year than it has in the past. Tentatively October 10th. If he says that's good, that's good. And that'll be all day pretty much. We'll go downtown. So if you're around October 10th, we'll be all over downtown as a third grade class. Yeah, that's all I got. Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you. It's
Thank you.
challenging, exciting, and we look forward to representing
Do
you.
you have any questions?
Look
Okay.
forward to the-
I'm gonna take these before they get disruptive.
All right. Let's get on to our consent agenda. First of all, has everybody looked at the minutes from our priorities, any questions, changes that we have? Kyle, does it do any changes to our current agenda that possibly changes?
No.
See, Mr. Goodwin, have any?
Yes, sir. Sorry, I didn't get you earlier, but it just came in like 30 minutes ago.
I'll meet you in the middle of some meetings. So I said, I'll meet you in the middle.
Mr. Dickerson, I'm ready to formally resign from the Weiser School District effective September 13, 2024. I'm grateful for the opportunities and support I received during my time here. Please let me know if there is further action needed or if there's something I can assist with during this transition. Thanks, Luke Davies.
Mr. Davis, we just hired you.
Chemistry, physics.
Any others?
Also, one of that.
Any staff that we want to consider?
Yes, sir. Given the fact that this position is, we're high in this position, Mr. Clark and Mr. Dickerson got out and beat the pavement, and I'll let Mr. Clark share with you about a recommendation for hire.
Okay, today, right in the middle of homecoming week, we interviewed 2 people for the position and landed on a gentleman by the name of Levi Smith. He's a chemistry and physics major out of College of Idaho, currently attending BSU to pursue his master's in education. And we have offered him or recommended him for hire at the position, and couldn't have been better timing. So that's all I have to report on that.
Currently enrolled, they can work around.
What's that?
Currently enrolled, but able to work around.
Yeah, I believe it's not even part-time, it's just taking a few classes on the side. So,
Yeah, the background that he has is great for that position.
Tyler, financial report?
I'll leave it at Barb.
Barb?
Get to talk about numbers, my favorite thing. Alrighty, so our finances, as you see them in your packet, they're boring, which is the best way that I like to have our financials be. There's nothing too exciting in here, other than we did get our big distribution from the state. We get 50% of our state funding on the 15th of August. And we got $5.8 million is what they estimate 50% of our funding to be from the state to be this year. So that was the single largest line item on there. And then as you look at our other funds, you'll see that we spent a lot on facilities this last month. So, and if you had any questions, we spent $150,000. We did the striping on the parking lots. We moved the concrete from the middle school, girls' bathroom and boys' bathrooms at the high school, doing those formal updates on those. And then the fence around the softball field, and M2 automation, some of the final payments on the PA systems that went into all schools, and then our first payment to the architects on the track. So that was that large $150,000 expenditure line item on that plant facilities fund. But really everything's just tracking along as normal. We normally see 8% spent each month, and that's where we are, except on those single large line items. The other thing I wanted to visit with you about tonight is everybody's favorite topic, taxes. Woohoo! If you will all remember, in May of '23, the wonderful citizens of the Weiser School District elective body passed a $310,000 plant facilities levy. And in May of '24, our patrons passed a $750,000 supplemental levy. In addition to that, by code, the liability portion of our insurance premium is also something that is paid for by the taxpayers of the community. So in all, when you add up those three line items, our taxpayers could pay us $1.1 million. You'll remember last year we talked a lot about House Bill 292. It came in when we had the $350,000 levy and paid $568,000 to us. This year, they told us to expect less. They thought the overage in the state coffers was not going to be as significant as it was last year. They were wrong. If you've read the newspaper, the state of Idaho's budget had a significant surplus. And in favor of our taxpayers, they distributed it back to schools. So of the $1.1 million that we are eligible to levy our taxpayers for, we will only levy $300,000. We received $782,000 in property relief from the state Department of Education and the state finance. So that's very good news to our taxpayers. They'll only pay $300,000 instead of $1.1 million. And just to clarify, we talk a lot about House Bill 292, and it is property tax relief. What Mr. Doolin is going to have you approve with the facilities plan, that is House Bill 521, which is school modernization. Two entirely separate buckets of money. School modernization is a 10-year plan to upgrade our facilities. So two different buckets of money, both coming from the state instead of our taxpayers, which is great news for all of us. So with that, does anybody have any questions for me?
Go ahead. Barb, could you talk a little bit about our other project and the money piece, the thing, what was money came in now versus coming in next year?
He's talking about
The building.
Oh, the way that the levy works?
Yes,
Okay,
because
so we levied $750,000. $400,000 of that was specifically for the track. And then the other $350,000 was to fund our all-day kindergarten, to prevent a pay-to-play in our athletics and those kinds of things. All those things that were specifically listed on the ballot, $400,000 was set aside for the track. For all of you who saw the bid that was approved at the August board meeting, the track is $1.2 million. So we will use $400,000 of the money we've just received from the state this year to pay for a portion of the track. The rest of it will come out of the district's reserves, and then the $400,000 that we get from taxpayers next year will pay back that portion of those reserves. But the other $400,000, the only place it can come from is the reserves. And the reserves is what we had hoped to be able to pour the foundation for our field house from. There were no tax dollars levied for the field house. It was just a conversation to show the future growth of the district for having a sports complex. We still have the building donated to us. As we look at our funding and as our funding continues to come in this year, it is truly our hope to be able to pour the concrete pad this year, but none of us expected that track to come in at $1.2 million instead of the $800,000 that we had originally anticipated. Just tells you how much inflation has gone up each year, because last year when we got just a ballpark quote, and granted, they did not come out and measure and test and do all of those kinds of things, but we were told to be right around the $800,000 level, which is why that's the dollar amount that we put out to our taxpayers to approve. But again, the way those levies work is it's $750,000 each year for 2 years. So to get the $800,000 that we had anticipated, we get $400,000 each year. So while the field house is still a very active project for the district, with the cost that it came in, we've got to find the money someplace and make a determination on whether or not it is appropriate for that to come out of our reserves and reduce those reserves. So those are the decisions that the board will be making in the very near future. So the field house is not off the table in any way, shape, or form. It is a very viable project for the district and one that we hope to be able to continue on very quickly. It is just a financial decision on whether or not we go into the reserves that deep in order to pay for it right now. Great question. Thank you.
So, Mr. Chairman, that's what I wanted her to say, because there's a misconception out there that that's not happening, that's not in our discussions, which it is. It's just the track came in, you saw 200,000 more than what was projected. So,
I appreciate that information. Thank you.
I'd love to talk, so any questions?
There'll be more. Just when you're not comfortable.
Okay.
Any bills that we need to talk about that?
It's a lot of
We
them.
need to stay, but
Yeah.
we can stay now.
No, just a lot of them.
Yeah. Okay. All right, that is the end of our consent agenda. I will entertain the motion to give the motion.
I'll make a motion that we accept the consent agenda as discussed.
Okay, motion to accept the consent agenda is discussed. For the name consent, all those in favor? Aye. All right, thank you. Moving right into our action items. You remember we took out 2 policies with their forms when we were talking about the 2,500, the 2,000s, 2,500. So we had 2,500 with a form and 2,530 with a form. Does anybody have any questions considering about these two? So we can get it a second. There's no question that I would put the motions.
It's going to be the second.
That's a second reading. Yes. Thank you.
I will make a motion that we consider the adoption of policies 2,500, F, 2,530, and 2,530 as discussed previously.
Okay, motion is made to adopt these 4 policies. We have a second reading of the documents. Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That's all the policies as far as new policies now. It's just back to our normal review, right?
Yeah, and I'll visit with you about that so that we can do that in your policy. We've got things that we need to do each year, and I don't know when you put that on there. If you want to do a couple of months or however you want to do it.
Yeah, we will have that discussion. I'm telling you, this
Not like we have.
this has been huge.
Not 35 at a time.
Hours and weeks, months, it seems like. I'm grateful for all the developments.
Absolutely, absolutely. One project.
Mr. Dillon, we special education manual adoption.
Yes, and you'll remember last month, Mrs. Halverson alluded to it, that it was coming to approve the update. So without further ado, Mrs. Halverson.
Figured I'd say you'd only have to listen to me one time instead.
Absolutely.
No, it's okay. The new special education manual is not any shorter than the old one was, just for the record. So if you want to take a look at it and do some light reading, please feel free to do that. You can find it on our State Department website. I also want to let you know that the Idaho Training Clearinghouse website, which is sponsored by our State Department and our Special Education Technical Assistance Organization runs, has some great information on what I'm going to just briefly talk about this evening before you consider the new special education manual. But if you go to the Idaho Training Clearinghouse, there's a nice kind of like pale yellow bar that says new SLD criteria and guidelines. So you can't miss anything on it. Really what ended up happening as part of our state audit from the Office of Special Education, OSEP, was noticing that Idaho had a more restrictive criteria for finding kids eligible with having a specific learning disability than what the IDEA, the federal law for special education, actually required. So the federal law asks us to take a look at whether or not students are responding positively to intervention in an area that we suspect they have a disability, or whether they demonstrate a pattern of strengths and weaknesses when we look at their cognitive evaluation and an academic evaluation. So very simply, their IQ or their cognitive capacity versus how they're performing on a standardized academic assessment. The way our criteria was before, we looked at both of those pieces. So they had to not be responding to intervention and they had to have a pattern of strengths and weaknesses. This change is really simple in that it takes the word and changes it to or in terms of bigger concepts, but it's not really all that simple when it comes down to all of the verbiage within the special education manual. What this change requires in the manual is that we pay a lot more attention to all of the steps in considering our students for having a learning disability or suspecting that they might have a learning disability. These pieces have always been there, but we now have to really look at them probably with more attention than we had in the past. So as an example, I'll just share with you what the exclusionary factors are. We have to make sure that their lack of performance isn't already due to a visual or hearing or motor impairment, that it's not a part of an intellectual disability, it's not because of an emotional behavioral disorder, that it's not due to environmental, cultural or economic disadvantages, limited English proficiency, or a lack of appropriate instruction in reading, or a lack of an appropriate instruction in math. So there's a lot of things we have to take out of the mix before we can consider whether or not a student has a specific learning disability. And that's where we start looking a little bit more closely about what Mr. Doolin is really having us focus on this year and what you are having us focus on this year with our data. Is our core instruction rigorous? Are our kids in general performing well? Because it's difficult to say that a student has a learning disability if we're still struggling with a lot of our kids in meeting our performance targets, right? So we want to look at that very carefully when we're considering students for referral for special education. We actually no longer in the district have any leveling practices for core instruction. That would have been something that would have removed a consideration for a learning disability because our kids have to have equal access to the same rigor of core instruction or grade level curriculum. So there's a lot of things that our practices are changing in our district, which is perfect timing in terms of instruction because it allows us to look more closely at our students who may have a learning disability and determine whether or not they meet that criteria. So that's a big nutshell, and there's obviously a lot of more details involved in that. As a result of this change, we will also be looking, now that everything's been approved at the state level, and once you have an opportunity to talk about this evening, we'll start doing a review of students who didn't meet criteria. Last year, we found them not eligible for special education. We'll go back through and review everything and make sure we didn't miss somebody because of the and instead of the or. So, something I could talk about a long time, but that's not probably not really what we're all here for today. I know Mr. Doolin's giving me the same. Any questions that you might have for me about this change that's basically in the new Idaho Special Education Manual
as an emergency provision. There will be a much more comprehensive review of the whole manual this year for then hopefully proposal and adoption at this next legislative session.
Just from just a ballpark, maybe you could give us, are there expectations that some of those kids that were set aside last year are going to be added into do you have just an idea perhaps how many we might be adding?
I think we would be adding a very small, I mean, without being a part of the team and looking at everything closely, right, and no predetermination at all. I think it's a very small percentage at this point. But one of the pieces that we should start seeing, and each month when I send you my report from the special education department, I can go through the number of students we have that qualify for special education under certain labels, where we have at least 20 students so that our N size isn't too small. But in the past, you'll see that other health impairment, which includes things like attention deficit disorder, it might also be some other physical impairments that impact kids' stamina and their vitality. So other health impairment has been our highest percentage of students have qualified under that label. We should see that actually decrease and our specific learning disability increase. As we become better at a lot of things, our students with attention deficit and hyperactivity disorders can often be served with accommodations. It's things, checking in more frequently with them, providing ways for them to have some movement in their day. So a lot of times we can do that. So when we have kids with attention deficit who need significant academic supports, we might need to be looking at a different eligibility for them. There might be something that is a better fit than what we've used. And honestly, part of that was just because the criteria was so tight, it made it difficult to, through special education, to make sure we identified those students. We wanted to make sure that we were supporting students and supporting teachers and getting kids the help that they need. So they definitely met those other criteria, but I think you'll see a shift in where our kids are eligible over time.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
So we need to adopt this manual, special education manual, so our use. So I would entertain the motion for that.
I'll move that we adopt the updated special education manual.
Motion's been made and seconded to adopt this special education manual. All those in favor? Aye. Approved. The next approval that we need to consider is a tuition agreement between our Weiser School District and Annex Charter School District.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, thank you. This is something that the state says that we must have, and as we all say, we treat Annex kids like our kids. So, but this just puts it on paper. This lets Annex know and lets us know what the agreement is in reference to tuition, in reference to transportation, and in reference this year, something new is special education students. We used to kind of split it up a little bit between our staff and the Oregon staff, which really that wasn't no good. It wasn't any good for the staff nor the student. So now we're doing it all. So we're asking a little more recuperation, if you will, from Annex for those services because for the sped students from Annex. So it's just an agreement that we need to have on file. Once you approve it and sign it, Mr. Bush, I'll shoot it over there for their need, and it'll stay with us there at the district. Questions?
That we approve the tuition agreement between the school district and its charter school district.
Motion's been made and seconded to this agreement. All those in favor? All right. Motion's passed. Another plan that we need to talk about, continuous improvement plan.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We do it every year. So it's not like we're checking the block by any means, but by 1 October, as you know, we have to have it posted on our website. And I must say this year with our new goal of increasing student academic achievement, we really, the admin and I have really taken a hard look at our continuous improvement plan. And if you looked at it already, you'll see that we really upped some percentages for our targets for 24 and 25. Now, this first document is just the narrative portion. You'll see there's our mission, our vision, our beliefs, our goals. And then here is, I work with Mr. Davies. It's kind of the same, but he did those different things in there. There's different things that they're doing in reference to reading plans and things of that nature for Pioneer, and as well as opening up more for parents to be a part of this plan and coming in and sharing things with us if they'd like to. So with that said, this is just the narrative or the part one. And then on to the bread and butter, if you will, the metrics. Same as last year, but again, we gave some more higher percentages in what we want to see in the 24-25 performance target areas. So you'll see we 35-39, and they go down all the way, except right here. And I asked Mrs. Clark why we stayed at 53. And she told me that 53 is currently the state standard. So we want to at least be where the state is. And then maybe next year we put in something a little higher to go above the state. But right now, Mr. Clark will tell the truth, right? That 53% is the state target for ELA 8th grade ISAT. So again, you can see we bumped everything up. So going on down with kindergarten, Pioneer again, we bumped everything up. Talk about ISATs, IRI scores. We stayed even here, 4th grade ELA, ISAT. But I bet you 60% is at the state goal. Mr. Davies, do you remember? Oh, sorry, Mr. Lynch, 60%?
It's higher than the state, what was that state from last year?
This is if we do this year, we don't have to do this part here. And again, you'll see, we went from 75. Last year, we were 83.5, and we said we were 75. So next year, we're going to push it up, try to push it up to 85%. 85% of K-3 students will either score proficient or demonstrate at least 1 year's growth from fall to spring IRI. So really, again, stressing what we really want to do this year in keeping with our #1 goal of increasing student academic achievement. Now, this next part is a high school's portion in which they talk about how we measure progress towards college and career advising and mentoring goals. And you'll see last year, 89%. Our goal was 95 from the previous, so we're going to push that again to 95 next year. Again, shooting for the moon, hoping for the stars. And then the next thing, 95, we were 78 last year. We say we want to be 90% this year for Next Step Idaho counselors using their counselor suite. So the counselors up there use that suite to counsel students for the next chapter of their lives. And this is just the verbiage that goes and answers the questions. The state asks us about what we're doing, why we're doing it, what didn't work last year, what we put in place to work this year, and things of that nature. And again, the last one is the report of progress narrative for the FAFSA retrieval tool. And the college advisors and Mrs. Erickson's new job, counselor. So just your questions on the metrics. The bottom line is, there's a lot of stuff there, but the bottom line is we're really going to try to stretch ourselves this year and see what we can get done. There's one more piece of this, as you've already seen on your reports, in your packets. It's where every grade is on the left-hand side, and it talks about how they were tested. It talks about what they did last year, or what our target was last year, what they did last year, and what we want to do this year. And again, you'll go through here and you can see that we pushed it up percentage points to try to get better than what we were last year. So, example, 56 to 70, 59 to 70. Not really can't go much higher than that, 94 to 95. And you'll see here is the different ways that teachers assess their students to come up with this metrics. Remember, we talked about before in size that if you don't have enough students to make up a category to put a percentage with, you get the in size. So as you know, there are nothing counselors don't have anything, so they're just inside, they're just in across the board. And last but not least, social studies 6 to 8. So again, we're trying to push the envelope a little bit, see if we can get a little better than or what our board does say right now back at district headquarters. So that's all on the continuous improvement plan. Subject to questions.
I was gonna say, I'm not there to have anything.
Yeah.
We have I don't have staff. I think we had a sample. Yeah, we had the first instructions and examples. Yeah. There are metrics, but it's like a sample ones, yeah. I don't think it's our exact numbers, it's the way that.
So we got the report, but I appreciate that.
Yeah.
We can follow those numbers, but what we looked at.
Okay, I don't know what you want to. Okay.
Did well.
Yeah,
Yes.
we can. I'll get this guys to load up this one. This is on my drive. But again, the bottom line is by 1 October it's going to be posted, and they want to see that we have a plan to get better. And I can say so. In the 4 years I've been here, this year we're moving in the right direction. We're having a plan to get better.
In our board room, we've got all the numbers posted, so you can walk by and look at the board and see right exactly where we're at. To be honest, there's room for improvement.
Yes, sir.
I'm glad that we're all working and to continue to talk about the same things is going to be helpful for all of us. We appreciate your time and efforts to everybody. Any questions? As soon as we get that report, we'll get it out. In the meantime, we need to approve this continuous improvement plan so that we can get it out.
I hope that we approve the continuous improvement plan for fiscal year 25.
Ready?
Okay? Motion to approve the continuous plan or
You want to read it?
Aye. Thank you for your hard work.
Of course, it's got it.
All right, another approval.
All right.
It's the means of approval.
This is a 4-month-long plan that I think I've asked everybody and their brother to help me, besides maybe Alex. But Eric and I, we sat down. Well, you saw the first brief I gave you with just the slides on what we wanted to do, going from poor to fair to good, things of that nature. Well, here's your plan. Once you approve it tonight, I'm going to send it to the state tomorrow. So let's talk about it real quick. 10-year plan. $5.9 million that we're getting from the state. We got an increase in tax rate of 5.6. We just heard about that a couple of days ago. So what I did based off that information, I went in and stuck this number in here because we just had Eric. What we just have go out in high school?
Compressor on the game gym.
About 30 grand.
Yeah.
Another air conditioner went out to Pioneer, probably 12 grand. So So that's why I stuck this in here first thing for this year. Now remember, when I send this in, you've elected to get one lump sum. We get that one lump sum, put it in the bank, withdraw the interest off of it, and then we can do whatever you'll task me to get done within the district with our money. So you can see, I tried to the best of my ability. We don't have enough money to last 10 years, to be honest with you. But we tried to do our best of our ability. Eric and I, we went all the way out to 23 HVAC for the high school. Just put it in there. But I want you to look at this number. Oh, the middle school, sorry. Middle school. We're forecasting $330,259, I believe, at the middle school, out of the $5.9 million that we're gonna get. Any questions about the middle school? Now this is the middle school, the school, not the gym, just the middle school. Okay.
So all those other structures, you're feeling like they're good back shape for 10 years. All those other packages, the schools are left.
Yeah, and this, all of this goes off of the recommendations that you approved and part of the community's recommendations. So it all is, there's a method to all this managed history.
And that report, it comes partially from the report that we did like 2 last year.
Oh, Dr. Boucher's? 80% of what Dr. Boucher did, I was able to reuse, and then Eric and I did the rest just based off of guidance and stuff like that. Middle school gym. We got to be very careful with the middle school gym because of the historical significance of the middle school gym. There's a lot of things wrong with the middle school gym. The stairs, Mrs. Clark shaking her head, yes. But so we looked at, we need a new roof. And that's the only roof that's shaped like, shaped like this, versus the other ones are straight, it can go, or diagonal, it can go metal versus, whatever the parking lot, need a parking lot. LED lights. So not a lot in the middle school gym, because we don't want to start tearing walls out, so eventually we find some mass asbestos and it all being a little hurt. And we're going to my recommendation is just these 3 items for the middle school gym.
The parking lot, is it in front of the gym or is it around by the administration parking lot? Is that the parking lot we're talking about?
And back by the shop.
Or back by the shop.
Here's your money. Give me a plan that says you're going to use all that money within 10 years. We saw the track come in, $200,000 more than we put in 2 months ago. So there's not enough money to do what we want. But we're going to be the best stewards we can be and get done what we can get done with it. High school. So we spent, middle school gym, you can see 110. High school, 2 million, what did I say, 6 or 8? I think 6, 8. But you can see everything in the high school, we're talking about the high school. There's the fire, there's the adding to or increasing the sprinklers, fire sprinklers, new HVAC we just discussed, roofing for the whole entire high school complex. Yes. Gym floor, which we know we can spend the money, part of this money now, for a new gym floor. And I think our recommendation was number 3. I think the community was number 3 as well, if I remember correctly. $610,000 for the portables. Now, based on some new guidance I just received, my recommendation to you, we're going to move portables to number 6. Because I found some other room at the high school that we can use, that we can make more classrooms out of. They're already classrooms, not being utilized right now. And we're starting to level off a little bit with our enrollment at the high school. So we're okay right now. So I'm going to move that with your guidance, your recommendation. I'm going to move that portable down at least 5 or 6.
So replacing the floor, you're just saying that you have to put that into the 2-year period as well.
I'll do it.
No, I'm just going with it. You've got 2 different years.
No, this is not the floor. This is what was this? Do you remember? Specialty? High school?
Oh, it's the upgrade on the wiring?
No, that's down here.
Okay.
50 grand for the wiring,
It
yeah.
does look like there's a comma after Jim. Yeah, there's a comma.
No, it's just the end of the phrase.
Specialties for whiteboards,
Whiteboards, that's what the 136 is. Because part of specialties, part of the game, the state asked us not, so Boucher didn't do that part. The state asked us about writing services, chalkboards, whiteboards. We want to go all whiteboards someday, but we're going to take a while, this while we get there. Through the district, so that's a high school. Ag shop, pretty big there, but they don't have any. In one part of it, sorry, ag shop. So where do they come from? High school, okay. Ag shop, fire and safety. Don't have any right now. That's going to be a good investment. HVAC, don't have any in one part of it, I think, right? The ag shop, back in the shop part. So again, 180. You see up there, 180,000 for the ag shop. Auto shop, same thing. Don't have any. HVAC, don't have any in the shop part. Again, 180. Ox gym, fire and safety, need it, don't have any. 6,500 for LED lights. But the important thing to remember is if you look across the top, we tried our best to kind of farm it out throughout the years, but the bottom line is, if you get the money, you're going to tell us what you want to do with, or recommendation of what you want to do with that money. Pioneer School, fire and safety. I think he has two hallways that don't have any. Roofing, needs a new roof. LED lights throughout. 913,000 for Pioneer. Pioneer Library, fire and safety, don't have any. HVAC, it's old. It's one of those old systems on top of the roof. Needs a new roof. Interior lighting, 200 pounds. Park School, fire and safety, same thing. Got hallways without it. Needs a new roof. Needs a new parking lot. LED lights. Technology needs some new wiring. 863 for park. Park music building. Don't even have a phone in there. We just found out. He used to, when we went to internet phones, his Ethernet cable doesn't even work in there, so he doesn't have a phone or a way to call the office, so we got to get that fixed. There's roofing again. Fire and safety doesn't have any. HVAC, old system, needs to be replaced. And then interior LED lights. So that is it. And you can see right there, 5.8. Miss Barb said she can spend $1 million in about 5 minutes.
She did.
She sure did.
I was there.
So we got 5.833 out of the 5.9 that we were given. So subject to your questions or recommendations, it's a great product if you ask me to go into the state tomorrow.
There's no fire suppression in our oxygen.
Well, that's right.
I was gonna say that fire suppression seems odd.
Oxygen
Yeah.
at the high school.
Yeah, it says 300,000 for fire suppression.
It's an upgrade. There is fire suppression.
But it's spares.
Yeah, it's to do with the riser part of the system that needs upgrading. It does have fire suppression.
Yeah.
So, but see, as you know, anything over 100,000, we got to go out for bid. So a lot of these are just guesstimates. Some are hard bids. The roof is a hard bid. The pavement's a hard bid that Eric went out and got. And I think one of the fire things is a hard bid. Other than that, it's just going off of what we thought was right.
So it's a great list. It's the hard part is year to year, what prices are going to cost.
Yes, sir.
Totally. Prices, but on top of that, we've got the little things. We visited a music room today right out here that needs new carpet. You know, there's the little things too on top of that. I'm glad we have a plan, and it's going to go a long ways for us to get it in the state and let them know what we're going to do. But that's not everything. We know that every year something's going to happen, and this is just a great plan that we can shoot for.
And as long as the buildings are SOBs, I love that. As long as they're SOBs, student occupied buildings, we can use this money. And then I got approval for the concrete, for the pavement. I called Dr. Bars and asked him specifically. He said, yeah, as long as that pavement's hooking up to an SOB. I was like, so with this money and with this plan, we can continue to be good stewards of the stuff, of the buildings that we have. There's going to come a day when only so much lipstick can be put on that pig.
Any questions? Concerning?
The key is to get the plan turned in, because they're only accepting a certain amount. When they get a certain amount, then the state goes out for the bond. And then if we don't make that, then we got to wait for the next round. And like I said, 20 grand just went down, or 20 or 30 grand for that new air conditioning unit for the high school. You never know what's going to happen in our buildings.
Make a motion to accept the changes. 10-year school facility plan. I'll second that.
Okay, motion made and seconded for the 10-year school facility plan. All those in favor? Aye. Great.
Thank you, guys.
Good job. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for our work.
Of course.
And we only have one more thing to consider in the fiscal year 25 we talk about, and it's actually one of our favorite discussions for those that have been on the board for a while, because we talk about a school bus every year.
You know what, Mr. Chairman, with your permission, I'm just going to turn it right over to May.
I was going to refer you to the expert.
Yes, sir.
Okay, update. Activity bus is scheduled to be here November, so in a couple months. The next bus that was ordered should be here in March, April of 25. So to have a bus come in for the 25-26 school year, we'd need to order it now, and it would be ready November, December of 2025.
So what are you recommending? Just a regular bus? What's your recommendations?
Right, the route bus, the same as what we've ordered, the last couple ones that we've ordered, they'll be the exact same ones like that.
And do we have to go out for bid? Or do we?
No.
I remember we changed the process a little bit over the.
We go through Sourcewell, and they're already the lowest,
Okay.
so we already have our quote for our price for a new bus.
Is this your guys' first time going for a bus?
Yeah, I have no idea what's happening here. That's why I'm like, so do we have a need? What?
The explanation would be great. Maybe
Yeah,
you could give us
sorry.
why we do
Do
this
we
every
need
year.
a bus?
Because to keep the depreciation cycle going, because if we go without getting a new school bus each year, then the funds from the state get lower and lower. So we have to keep a new school bus coming every year for financially, right?
We've tried to go without a bus and not, we bought a used bus once.
Twice, yeah.
And that.
Actually, three times.
The
Actually, three
buses
times.
weren't really that good, but they
Right.
oversold them, and then secondly, it really hurt our schedule on the depreciation immensely. And so, do you want to weigh in on this one?
Yeah, the other thing to consider is I believe we
And so if you only replace one route bus every year, your oldest bus is 12 years old. So you're asking for repair bills. Right now, the maintenance on our buses is minimal because we are keeping our fleet new. The 2 buses that we'll receive this year will probably increase our depreciation amount that we receive back from the state by about $35,000. We're down to $50,000 right now. And the goal is to keep your depreciation reimbursement from the state at the cost of a new bus, so that the state is actually buying that new bus for us each year. And because of the extended period of time it's taken us to get buses now, since COVID shut down all the factories, we've been 18 months out. And so this year we'll get 2 buses that will help us, but we've had 2 years that we didn't have any buses that increased that depreciation amount. So the goal is to keep that depreciation amount up to pay for those buses, and to also keep our fleet new so that we have minimal maintenance and repair bills.
So then does our oldest bus go away?
We typically have to declare it as excessive equipment.
Okay.
And then we find a buyer for it. We've been selling them mostly for scrap, but I found a new location that where a lot of the fire companies are buying school buses, and they've been going for considerably more than just scrap value. And if our bus is only 12 years old, it does have more life left. And so it is worth more than the $700 that we can get for it in scrap. So we would look to get anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 on those buses. But they are completely depreciated out after 12 years. So they have no value left to us. So whatever we can sell them for is a benefit to the district.
And a lot of the older buses we keep as to use for sub buses for when we have buses go out on trips and stuff, we need something there to cover routes. So we do have spare buses, but we need to start getting rid of them because I'm running out of room.
So it is a discussion we have every year. And sometimes, in the past, we've had to do ones in here because the activity bus that's coming was a big discussion. So we try to get that.
So that's another one like the one we just got? No. The activity bus?
Yeah.
Big bus. Oh, it's got good seats.
What's the difference between
Yes.
an activity bus?
The activity bus has fewer seats, so it has more leg room, and they have armrests and air conditioning. So
It's kind of like what it's van seating is. Kind of individual seats. We get a long road trip. That was the former state trustee group. But they wanted that bus. So now we're getting it. So it'll be here.
So that's actually, that's not actually part of our discussion, but it's part of the bus discussion, so we understand why we're having a discussion. But so at this time, this year, so we stay on an appreciation schedule, we'd like to have a motion approved, or make a motion at some point to.
Yes. I didn't hear you, but over. Oh.
It's just all regular.
Regular, not an activity.
no. The activity bus can be used as a school bus too, though. It will have the stop arm and everything on it. So
So I'd entertain a motion of the committee, please.
I move that we approve the purchase of a new school bus for fiscal year 25.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded to approve the purchase of the school bus for fiscal year 25. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Thank you for the info.
It's like Christmas over there. Go get your bus. Get it ordered for next year. All right, that is the end of our action items. There was a lot to consider. We go on to our discussion items. And before we get, is there anything that has board members you'd like to see on the agenda for discussion item? Board members, please. discussion of sorts for the use of our facility. And hope that we can get that done and figured out into rest so that we can move on.
Well, let me tee it up for you if I could, Mr. Chairman. Because you know, the committee met, and myself, Bo, Casey, there was Ken from City Rep, and talked about the policy. We talked about the amendment to the policy, and the only thing that came out of the meeting was they talked about maybe it'd be more beneficial for everybody if we charge people for a chunk of time versus every time. Example, Mr. Brush, you can get it for 2 months for $1,200. That's all you got to pay. That's what came out of that meeting. So however you think that would be a good idea. But it's, I mean, the policy says the administrator shall approve and schedule the various uses of school facilities in policy 4210. So I don't understand the discussion, but we'll do whatever you tell us to do.
What I've been approached by is people in the community that maybe have gone to a school admin and they ask about the use of the gym, and it's just this is just from people in the community just having a discussion with me, so I don't really know exactly what the discussion was with the admin, but according to them it was just a no. And I don't know why, I don't know if, it just seems like maybe there's a form to fill out, that maybe we just say, here's a form, fill it out, and then later the admin says, no, that doesn't work because blah, 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 or am I not reading that right? Is that not how we're?
So we do have a form. I think the big concern is that we have gymnasiums sitting empty, not being available to be used, even if the organization is willing to pay for it. So we have in our policy, it says school facilities are available for the community for education, civic, cultural, and other uses consistent with public interest when such use does not interfere with school program or school-sponsored activities. And I think that second half of that clause is being used to say, if we allow a basketball team to come in here with kids from our community, we will be interfering with our school programs because you may be taking kids from the football team, and instead of playing football, they'll be playing basketball. If that makes sense. So the gyms are available to use, they're just not being authorized to use them, if that makes sense. So that, I think, is the biggest concern. I think originally the concern stemmed from the fact that somebody was asking them to pay for it. I think that's reasonable for us to continue to ask for pay. I think the only school district in our region that doesn't, I went through all their policies, the only one that doesn't, Paul has a very loose definition of whether they choose to pay fees or not, but Parma says organizations, and they're no longer in our district, but they're in our region. If it's a community youth organization or club, they do not charge for the use of their facilities at all. So they're the only ones out of all of them. So I have no problem with sticking with the rest of our communities and saying, we're going to charge you a minimal fee to use the facility if you want to use it. I don't think that's unfair. I think what might be unfair is saying, nobody's using the gym, but you can't use it because you may be pulling kids from other athletic situations. I don't think that's our call to make, saying you're not going to use it because there's football going on right now. Even though the football program is not using the gym, because we have an athletic event happening, your club can't use the gym. Does that make sense? Am I making that clear? So I think that's the big concern, is that there's nothing being used, the facility's not being used, it's just not being authorized to be used as well.
Do you know anything about the two Mrs.
I don't know,
mentioned?
I don't know anything specifically about what we're talking about. I know when somebody approaches me and that can either be passed on by the other admin, I give them the paperwork to fill out, the liability insurance, and make them aware of whatever fees are associated with that. I think it's $50 for non-profit groups a day for the gym, and it's $100 for profit groups. It's kind of a complicated thing in terms of what activities we have, what practices we have. Unfortunately, that falls on the athletic director to kind of balance and figure all that stuff out. So that's a whole side component to this. I don't get a lot of requests from me personally for the gym. It's mostly auditorium and trying to schedule that with our choir and other groups coming in. So I can only speak specifically to that, but that's my answer when people come in. I hand them the policy and say, here's the deal, fill it out. But it sounds like we're talking about maybe people aren't coming to me. I'm not sure who they're coming to, but that's how I specifically handle it. And then those decisions are made, okay, where's the days? I mean, there's a lot of phone calls every time somebody turns in a paper. It's not double schedule against this, that, everything else. I understand the athletic concerns as well, or groups competing with other groups. It's just the complexities of facilities and renting them out. But that's all I can speak specifically to is hand out the policy and then the best decisions made based on what the availability is, other things that are taking place.
Who handles the scheduling side?
If it's gyms, it's Bo, the athletic director. So he's in charge of the athletic teams that use those facilities, so he's in charge of that overall schedule.
So when you say that somebody comes to you and there's a lot of phone calls that have to be made in scheduling for that, shouldn't it be just on a calendar somewhere for Bo to look up and see if it's already booked?
It should, but that's an ever-changing calendar. I mean, it changes based off the weather, this, that, everything else, but in theory, yeah. I mean, it should be there in terms of availability. But a little harder question to answer on a daily basis as it changes.
What about the middle school?
We don't have anything to do
The
with
middle
that.
school, so it would be Ben is our athletic director. He would schedule that. A lot of the court, we keep up during volleyball season, we keep the nets up, we don't pull any of that down. And then I think the other question too is just who is monitoring, like who's letting them into the building after the practices and things like that. So
if an organization was to come to, should that be something that we add to the form saying who's going to be responsible from a school administration standpoint? Like, do you have a teacher who's willing to vouch for the building at that time frame, who's willing to be there for that? So because, administrator.
yeah, so I mean that just adds a whole other layer of scheduling that is
But if we have a policy and we have a form, then something must need to change.
Well, I can fix it, but I gotta know specifics. You just can't.
I thought the money was for a part of the people paying was to pay like the janitor to be there to lock up.
Mrs. Williams, we don't charge near the amount that we should be charging for our facilities. With our nets, our custodians never see that pay because it's a nightmare with HR. It's a nightmare to try to get them paid through regular pay. Tell me if I'm wrong. And then they're supposed to pay for an administrator to be there. And then if you go back to the auditorium, they're supposed to pay for somebody like Mike Turner to be in there at $50 an hour. That's in the policy, I think. I don't know the exact problem. Does it say that they got to pay for a custodian? Is that all it says, Mr. LaRue? I thought it was administration too. Supervision.
It just says supervision.
Well, am I going to let a teacher? I wouldn't think one of our I wouldn't put our teachers in a position.
Well, I'm not saying we're going to offer a teacher in that position. I'm saying if the organization comes with a teacher they have already contacted. So if an organization approaches and says, hey, I have a teacher who's willing to vouch for locking up the gym or making sure that they're there in that stead for the administration, that's my question. Would that suffice as supervision from a school standpoint, or are we requiring the standard of custodian or administrator? Because the policy isn't clear on who defines as supervision.
I guess that answer opens another question is, our requirement is liability insurance for every group that uses it. So is that still a requirement as well? Because that kind of blankets us being able to open the doors, close the doors, and not actually have to be there during the event. Yeah. But I mean, I can only speak to the auditorium because I've never opened gyms, right? But it's just one more level for admin to make sure it's open, make sure it's locked. Different groups obviously calling me at 20 times that night, hey, the AC isn't working, hey, this isn't working, and it just kind of turns into a nightmare. And that's part of my job and my responsibility, right, according to how the policy's written, but that's hard for me to, on Friday, Saturday night, be responsible to bounce in, lock up, unlock, and then field every phone call that comes in when they try to run stuff they shouldn't be running. You know what I mean? It just kind of turns into a mess. But that's the auditorium. So
I guess the big concern that I have is that we're trying to. We're a small time community, small town, and for the first 2 years that I have been here, not on the school board, if you needed access to the gym, you called up the rec department, and they funded the fee. They said, we'll do the insurance, you pay a minimal fee to us, $20 as an organization, we'll fund the insurance side of things, and we'll schedule the gym time for you and find somebody who has a key, a teacher or somebody. And that was the standard for the first 2 years that I was here. It might not have been the policy, but that's the way and then really, when we changed this policy a year ago, all we really did was change the fee structure. But we changed the fee structure, changed administration. Now the community no longer had access to the gym, and there was a big outcry because we have a lot of parents that like to make sure that their parents or their kids have an opportunity to step foot in the gym and get extra time in. And that was taken away from them. Not necessarily because we changed the policy, but because we changed administration. And so I'm trying to find a way to fix both sides of that, right? We don't want to change our small town feel. We want to feel like the community still has access to the facilities that they're paying taxpayer money for, without having to run through a bunch of hoops and red tape to try to get access to a gym. If they're willing to get the insurance, pay the money, sign the form, why am I still getting phone calls saying they're turning us away even though nobody's using the gym?
That's the piece that I didn't know. Because we don't want to ever not follow our own policy. And if that's happening, then that's an education piece for me to my administrators. This is the first I've heard this from both of you in reference to this subject. If you have exactly, to share it with me. That's the only, Mr. LaRue, that's the only way I can fix it.
No,
Not in this forum, but.
So I just from my perspective, this is what I'm hearing. I don't know that you ever could have a policy exactly written with every detail of the dots and the i's and the t's dotted across the middle. But what I'm hearing is we have a policy, and we feel like it's a decent to good policy, but it needs to be followed. And we're working on, policy has been a big thing for our board anyway, so we need to figure this out and follow the policy. As I look back over the years, prior to this year, and last year, I feel like everybody in our community had a key to those gyms. And that's one of the things that we, from a security base and from a liability, we have to get that under control. And so this policy was necessary, partly because of that, because when somebody can go down and use the weight room at 1 o'clock in the morning because they have a key, that's not right either. So this policy was help us create an opportunity to find out, okay, who's in our gyms and why are they in our gyms? So if the case that Mr. LaRue was talking about is happening, then the policy isn't being followed. And like I say, we just need to get that back to the athletic director, to the principals, to and Mr. LaRue to follow the chain of command.
Yeah, I think if we have somebody bringing us a form and the gym is available and they've already met all the things, I don't think we should be turning them away if the gym is not booked. Now, obviously, if there's going to be extenuating circumstances, like the weather changes, right? We can't forecast that. But I think that's where we have that on schedule. We say, hey, gonna let you know, it's bad outside. Our football team's in the gym. You guys aren't going to be able to use it, right? But I don't think we turn them away for unforeseen circumstances beforehand. If the gym's available, the football team's not scheduled it because they're out in the fields, then let's go ahead and let somebody use our gyms if it's available to. Kind of like the track. It's available to everybody right now. That was a joke.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
There's some
Please do not go
things
to the
that
track.
happen.
Please do not go to the track.
Is that,
I mean, that's, yeah.
is that, I think good discussion when it comes down to, we need to follow.
I think the first line is the one that we need to follow, right? School facilities are available to the community. And I think that's what we want to continue to push. It's available to you. Let's not make it overly difficult. Sounds good. I think okay. That's a nice.
Good. Okay. Thank you. Any other communications? Rich? All right. Well, I have nothing else on the agenda except for a motion. Motion has been made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor? Hey.